Reading through Chainsaw Man over the past few months has been a real treat for fans all over the world, with scenes like Naito getting swatted at school and Denji offering his salad-tossing services. And Chapter 135 is no exception from this hot streak that Fujimoto is on, with Asa reading cringy poetry about her newly discovered feelings for Chainsaw Man. I mean, how could one not be swooned with lines like, "Nothing's better than somebody's sweat and saliva mixing with yours. Shakespeare could never." But it wasn't only Asa's incredibly embarrassing poetry reading that made this chapter so great. Between the comedic elements, lore building, and dramatic irony in this chapter, we certainly have a lot to talk about today. But before we jump straight in, remember to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content. I'm literally a dick's length from 4,000 subscribers right now, so let's see if we can get there before the end of the month. Thank you guys so much for your support. Now let's jump into the video. If you've kept up with my videos or live streams over the past month or two, I've been kind of hyping up what a discussion between Asa and Yoru would look like after Asa refused to kill Chainsaw Man. And I was incredibly surprised to see that Yoru wasn't all that bothered by Asa's insubordination, nor her growing feelings towards Chainsaw Man, her mortal enemy. We kind of get a reason as to why she's so unbothered by this in a few pages, but we're going to touch on that a little later in this video. One thing that I was kind of glad to see was that Asa could immediately tell that the Chainsaw Man on TV wasn't the real one, based off of the fact that he just wasn't enough of a degenerate to be the real one. It's like trying to tell the difference between Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Mel Gibson's White Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. So skipping over real quick the real reason as to why Yoru's in such a great mood right now, we get to the real crown jewel of this chapter, which is Asa's incredibly embarrassing display of poetry reading. And just a quick thanks to my friend Secret Doves for pointing out on Twitter that the poem is even cringier in Japanese. When Asa says the word you, or anata in this case, she uses the kanji for it that's usually used when referring to one's husband or wife, or in this case, love interest. And I haven't heard a single couple under the age of 40 refer to their significant other as anata, so we can add that to the list of weird shit Asa does. If only Chainsaw Man took place in the 2010s rather than the late 90s, we'd probably get some fantastic fanfiction on Asa's Tumblr page that would give My Immortal a run for its money. And yes, I did just reference My Immortal in the year of our Lord 2023. So I skipped over this earlier because I thought it deserved more of an in-depth discussion, but between the beginning of this chapter and Asa's cringy poetry reading, Yoru mentions that because the Falling Devil's attack affected people all over the world, there's a potential for widespread war breaking out, thus giving Yoru a pretty significant power boost due to the growing fear of war breaking out. But one thing I've been curious about for quite a while now is, what would a potential Yoru power-up look like? Can she make stronger weapons out of less significant items? Can she turn other people's shit into weapons? Yoru's one of the very few characters in Chainsaw Man whose power seems to have a specific rule behind it. You can turn anything you perceive as yours into a weapon, and the worse you feel about doing so, the stronger the weapon will be. Because of this, it's hard to imagine what a potential Yoru power-up would look like. But there's definitely something that we don't know about Yoru yet, seeing as Fami is convinced that Yoru's power is the only way to stop the oncoming apocalypse. This is where I'm going to open up the court to you guys. What kind of power-up do you think Yoru's going to get, or would you like to see her get? Let me know down in the comments. Now, in my opinion, the best moment in today's chapter wasn't even Asa's emo poetry, it was Fami breaking into Asa's apartment and eating all of her food. If I had to say I have a favorite character in Chainsaw Man Part 2 so far, it would probably be Fami, based off of her wanting to be referred to affectionately by Asa, and her being solely motivated by food, much like myself. But my personal enjoyment of Fami aside, it's impossible to deny how shiesty she is. Just a few things from this chapter alone. Why does she want to help Asa and Yoru so bad? How does she know that Denji ceased action as Chainsaw Man to live an ordinary life? And what does Fami gain from Asa joining the Church of Chainsaw Man? The one I personally found most surprising was Fami knowing about Denji and the position he's in right now. A likely explanation could just be that Naito is feeding Fami this information after they decided to work together 4 chapters ago. But now there's an even more interesting development. Fami points out to Yoru that the Chainsaw Man that she's been chasing down is the red one, when the one she actually wants to kill is the black Chainsaw Man. Obviously, we know this as Denji being the red Chainsaw Man and Pochita being the black one. So what does this mean for Denji and Pochita? Will Yoru have to fight the monster that completely soloed Makima and 5 hybrids? Will Denji even let Pochita be killed? I love these kind of chapters that simultaneously answer a few questions and then raise a shit ton more of them. The one thing I really wanted to draw attention to, though, was Fami's last line of the chapter. When talking about why Asa should trust the Church of Chainsaw Man, she says in bold letters, they're honestly trying to save Chainsaw Man. And I don't think Fami is lying here, but I think that that specific text was bolded for a reason. They honestly want to save Chainsaw Man. They, not I. So does she dishonestly want to save him, or is she hinting towards ulterior motives? Once again, it's impossible to tell. So the last few pages of this chapter end on a potential time skip with Asa Mitaka making a name for herself as a high schooler who's going around town killing devils. Now, my first thought when I was reading through this was that this wasn't a time skip at all, and the Church of Chainsaw Man had an Amogus pretend to be Asa Mitaka and go around town killing devils, all the while this conversation was going on between Fami, Asa, and Yoru. But after rereading this chapter 7 trillion fucking times for this chapter review video, I'm finding that less and less likely, and more likely that maybe I was just attacked by the reading comprehension devil on my first read through. That said, knowing Fujimoto, I wouldn't completely write off the potential of some imposter fuckery going on here. But honestly, that's not really important right now. What seems most likely is that there's going to be a growing rivalry between Denji and Asa, seeing as he's not going to like Asa stealing his thunder. As my friend Epi on Twitter pointed out earlier today, it looks like the original promotional image for Chainsaw Man Part 2 from over a year ago seems to have been hinting towards this rivalry all along. The one thing I definitely see happening is Asa letting all of this praise and attention get to her head. Sure, she originally accepted this offer to join the Church of Chainsaw Man in order to save her new love interest, Chainsaw Man himself, but you can't tell me that she's not going to get lost in the sauce. Maybe it's going to take Denji and Asa accepting the fact that they're both pathetic losers for them to finally start going out for real. But until then, we can only admit this crippling truth to ourselves. Now, before we end today's chapter review, there's still one more important motion, and that's what did the Future Devil predict would happen in today's chapter last night? Oh, great and powerful Future Devil, what do you predict is going to happen in Chainsaw Man Chapter 135? The Future Devil seems to be enjoying himself at this point. Oh my, you really want to know, don't you? In Chainsaw Man Chapter 135, he stops for a moment for dramatic effect. You're going to witness the return of an old friend. Now, let's be real. I feel like this is... Because it could just mean, like, what if Yoru comes back? Does that count as the return of an old friend? So if Yoru comes back in tomorrow's chapter, I'm not going to eat my Crocs. But if we get a character like Kishibe, or a character from Part 1 that we haven't seen since Part 1, I'll count that as an old friend, and we can cook up some Crocs. I wouldn't necessarily say that Fami counts as an old friend like the Future Devil was referring to, so unfortunately, he might have missed the mark this week. But fret not, because we at least have another chapter of Chainsaw Man coming in 7 short days, which means another Future Devil prediction this upcoming Monday night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and check out this video that's popping up on your screen right now. I also have a really fun video coming out this upcoming Saturday morning that I hope you guys will look forward to. But that's it. See you guys later. Subscribe. Bye-bye.